Aloha, America. Will Johnson is joining us today on our live show. The founder, president, CEO, chief bottle washer at Unite America First, and me, Barry Nussbaum of American Truth Project. We're so glad you're joining us today. We have a jam-packed show that we hope we get through, and we hope you get to see it, because there's a lot of topics, as Will said, that certain people at certain platforms who fact check certain things from the basement of their mom's house may not approve of. Let's start off with the new vice presidential nominee for the Democrat Party, who, like the presidential nominee from the Democrat Party, has never received a vote from the American people to be part of that, ticket that's been selected as part of the Democrat process that you're not privy to or participating in or know nothing about. And contrary to the new publicity being circulated this past week that Governor Walz of Minnesota is a moderate Midwestern, we're going to go through a couple of his policy decisions and viewpoints on the Constitution. And let's start off with how he feels about the First Amendment.
On this, there's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
What? Well, what did he just say?
That you don't have freedom of speech, that they don't care about the Constitution, that they're going, once he gets into power, they're going to come for it all. The American dream, say bye-bye now. Bye-bye to all of it.
You know,
but Barry, one of the biggest questions that I have is, what is hate speech and who gets to determine it?
Well, you talk about this all the time, that the First Amendment means you can say pretty much anything except, fire in a movie theater, or I'm going to kill you, or let's go kill somebody. But with those very minor exceptions, there's no truth squad. There's no 1984 government review of your proper speech.
They were trying to create one.
It sounds like that's one of his proposals, isn't it?
Well, remember the Biden administration with Mayorkas, they were actually creating a disinformation board.
Yeah, until the Congress found out and went nuts.
And then, and then the American people said, what in the world is happening? Yeah.
Well, let's, as crazy as it sounds, as you've just pointed out, to cancel the First Amendment, Governor Walz has some other, shall we say, revolutionary viewpoints. Let me go through a couple of them. Number one, he created the sanctuary state status for the state of Minnesota, blocking the police department from working with the federal government to enforce federal law on immigration. He said the role of law enforcement is to enforce state and local laws, not immigration laws. So he blocked illegals from being confronted by, challenged by, and arrested by the federal law enforcement officials. Number one. Number two, he expanded benefits to illegal immigrants, gave them free health care, gave them driver's licenses. Don't care who they are, don't care about their background, nothing. Here's the killer one. He created a COVID-19 snitch board where you could call up and tell on people, just like in the Soviet Union, just like in Nazi Germany, just like in communist China. That's unbelievable. People were calling in to say their neighbor was walking a dog and they should be arrested. Does that bother you?
Barry, he's the model Democrat. He's the model. He's such a normal guy. They say his superpower is him being normal. He's a moderate Democrat. He's a Western Democrat. He's a rural Democrat. They got this propaganda machine right now, Barry, that's hiding all of this stuff that he did. And you know what? I don't know why they're hiding it, because they loved everything that he was doing. So why would you hide it?
I've
Because they
got
know.
more. I've got more.
I
I
know.
want you to listen to all this. He blocked school choice vouchers. He demanded that everybody go to the public school, which was terrible, even though people were saying, I want to put my kid in private school. I want to put my kid in a new design school that has different curriculum, has more teachers to student ratio, exploratory schools. He blocked all of that
Yeah.
because he doesn't like school choice.
No, well,
Wait a minute.
it's
Do you know that
indoctrination, though.
Minnesota is a trans refuge state because there's millions and millions of cross-dressing weirdos, but they can go to Minnesota to get gender affirming care, including puberty blockers, surgery, and hormone therapy, paid for by the state of Minnesota. They're going to have RuPaul drag races everywhere, courtesy of the governor.
But this is by design, right? This what, like I said, he is the model Democrat. He represents everything that they are. And again, which really is kind of like, to me, surprising. I know why they're doing it. Maybe I'll retract that. It's not surprising. I know why they're doing it. He's just as radical as Bernie Sanders, as the rest of the socialists. They love him being this way, but they're all denying it. They won't even acknowledge that he was putting tampons in the boys' bathroom.
Ah, darn it. I was going to do that one next. For little boys in 5th grade that need a tampon, Will.
How they gonna administer it? Don't even get into. I don't want to.
No, this is a family show. Stop it. Oh,
but Barry, the propaganda machine. He's just a nice guy. He's completely normal. That's his superpower, being normal. They don't want. They're not even bringing up everything you just listed off. Why? Because they know it's insane. They love that he's doing it. And right now, just like Kamala Harris is not doing press conference, he hasn't done one either, has he?
No. Either is Kamala. They don't.
No.
They're going to the hide in the basement strategy. They're putting a lid on it. Remember that?
Yeah.
Whatever that meant.
Yeah, they're not gonna do any, because they don't want to have to answer any of these questions about what he did with BLM and Trans Tifa, doing a Summer of Love. Don't want to have to answer any of that.
All right, one more for you. Why
Okay.
has Walz been to China 30 times and says no one treats him as well as the communist Chinese? 30 times he's been to China. Sir, I haven't been to the city next door 30 times. What's going on with him in China?
And probably, like China Joe. There probably he actually did his honeymoon in China as well. My question is why didn't he just move to China?
Well, that's like Bernie Sanders did his honeymoon in the Soviet Union.
Really, I did not know that.
Yeah, because he's a communist.
But he hates Russia.
Right. He loves communism, though. Hello.
He hates Putin.
I get it. Oh, my goodness gracious. Moving on. Speaking of rejection of the United States Constitution that guarantees you and me civil liberties, well, Governor Walz has rejected the First Amendment, the right to free speech. Apparently, Vice President Kamala, I don't do press conferences, Harris, has now staked out her position on the Second Amendment. And she has said it publicly. I want our viewers to see how she feels about guns.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. But I mean, listen, I don't think we lack for great ideas. As I've said many times, we've been having great ideas for decades. The problem is that Congress has not had the courage to act. And that is why, from the beginning, I have said, my agenda includes attempting to get Congress to act, but if they don't within the first 100 days of my administration, I'm going to take executive action. Because what we need is action.
OMG. She just said, did you hear what I heard? if the Congress doesn't act, she's going to take executive action on taking away guns. First of all, you can't overrule the Constitution because you feel like it, but it sure sounds like she's going to try. Did you hear what I heard?
Oh, 100%. You remember there was the governor in New Mexico. You remember what the governor of New Mexico did? Suspended the Second Amendment part of the U.S. Constitution, and she said she was only doing it for 30 days. Remember that? Oh, it's just only for 30 days. We're just going to spend it for 30 days. And then you even had other predominant Democrats show up, like even Eric Swalwell, what's his name? Ted Lieu, I believe. And they all came out saying, no, we don't support this. We're not doing this. Why? Because it was too soon. They want to make sure that they can do it to the entire country. But to be honest with you, Barry, I'm surprised they just didn't have Joe Biden sign it. He doesn't know what he's signing half the time. Just put it in front of him, have him sign it. I'm being really serious. I'm surprised they didn't do it. I'm willing to bet that they have it drafted, that they have it written up in one of those binders for him to sign. They just have it right there sitting on the desk. Do we want to do this? And they're probably like, no, this is not really the good time to do it.
But you know
Kamala
what
Harris,
they're going to suspend the Constitution, literally?
the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment. Because in order to bring tyranny, in order for a one world order to take place, this country has to collapse. The United States of America is in the way. Like you hear President Trump constantly say that they're coming after him. And the only reason why they're coming after him, no, they're actually coming after us.
He's in the way.
But he's in the way. This one world globalist system that they're trying to put into play, the United States of America is in the way. And it's the people in America that's in the way, because the people in America, they can defend themselves, and they have to prevent the American people from being able to defend themselves in order for them to implement the tyranny that is underway with her. And she's wanted to do an executive order to kickstart it, to do it. She is a communist through and through, 100%. There's no disputing it. The Democrat Party has become the Communist Party of America.
Without the Constitution, we're defenseless.
They don't care about the Constitution.
That's serious stuff, brother.
Yeah, but they don't care about the Constitution. I mean, Barry, they've said multiple times that the Constitution is an out-of-date document. Some of them have even gone to say that the Constitution is racist. They said either we rewrite the Constitution or just do away with it altogether. They don't care about it.
Good luck with that.
If they care about the Constitution, the border czar would have been defending our borders.
Every week we talk about peace in the Middle East. There's a video that I need you to see. It's an interview with Bibi Netanyahu. Well, actually, it's a statement by Bibi Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. And he's commenting on a video that I've watched it 3 or 4 times. It chills me to my soul. I want our viewers to see this. This is why there is no peace.
Video that shook me to the core of my being. In just a few seconds, it shows why our conflict persists. So here's a short snippet. A Palestinian father holds up his 4-year-old son. He pleads with Israeli border police to kill his own child. He shouts, "Shoot this little boy," his boy. He pushes his young son forward towards the soldiers and screams, "Kill him! Shoot him!" The boy pauses. He's scared. Any child would be. He turns back, looking at his father for guidance. With his shirt tightly tucked into his bright red shorts, the boy ambles forwards towards the soldiers. One of them extends his hand in friendship. The boy gives him a high five. It's hard to make a 4-year-old hate. Imagine your own child at that age. Think of his smile. Imagine her laugh. Picture the unrestrained joy and innocence that only a child possesses. Encouraging someone to murder a child, let alone your own child, is probably the most inhumane thing a person can do. What did this child do to deserve this? The answer is nothing. He's innocent. He should be in a playground. He should be in the sun, laughing with other children. Sadly, this father's crime is not an isolated example. In Gaza, Hamas runs summer camps that teach children to value death over life, suicide kindergarten camps. The Palestinian Ministry of Education in Ramallah recently organized an event for students to honor terrorists who murdered 3 civilians. 2 weeks ago, the Palestinian Authority's official newspaper praised teenage terrorists and wrote that death as a martyr is the path to excellence and greatness. That's a direct quote. Palestinian and Israeli children deserve better. They deserve to live. They deserve to live in peace. Children are not cannon fodder. They're the most precious things in the world. They're the most precious things we have. I'm sure Palestinian parents, many of them, are as outraged as I am at this video. And today I appeal to every father and mother around the world. I ask you to join me in calling for an end to this abuse of children. The Palestinian leadership must stop encouraging children to kill. They must stop encouraging Palestinian parents to call for the death of their own children. It's horrendous. Peace begins with respect. If parents don't respect their own children's lives, how will they respect the lives of their neighbors? We must love all children. They should never be pushed to violence or hate. Join me in educating all children for peace.
Does that knock your socks off?
Yeah, I've actually seen that video. I've seen that video without even, because the left they come back and say, "Oh my goodness, he edited that video. It's highly edited." I've seen that video uncut.
That's why I played the whole video.
Well, I'm talking about the video with the dad putting the little boy down and the boy walking to the Israeli border soldiers. I've seen the cut version of that without Benjamin Netanyahu in it. So, and it is horrible. I mean, they're actually, and the reason why they're doing it because they want the cameras to record it. They want to say, "Oh, look, the Israeli soldiers just killed this innocent child. Oh my goodness, it's a genocide. It's genocide." This is what they're looking for. And it's so sick that he would put his child in that situation because they believe that death is sweeter than honey. So they have no issues on doing it. This is what you call modern day monsters. And they're doing it to your own child. I can't even bring myself to think, how could or would I do that? What circumstance would I be in for me to do that? I would die first. They say, if you don't do this to your child, you're gonna kill your child, and we're gonna kill you. And I said, well, then I guess I'm dying today because I refuse to do such a thing.
Because you're a normal father who loves his children. These people love death.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I saw a video really quick with Joe Rogan, and he had this guest on there. I don't know the guy's name, but he was talking about how in that region of the world and the mentality, there's a lot of inbreeding going on. And as a result of that, that causes mental issues, anger issues throughout family. Now, how true that is, I don't know, but Joe Rogan was actually having a conversation about it. So it might be pretty accurate.
I know Israeli soldiers, they deal with this all the time, especially the border police. And the thing that you don't realize when you watch that video is they didn't know if that kid had a bomb vest on. And it took a lot of courage for that border policeman to put out his hand.
That's a true statement.
And high five the kids. That's why that exact unit in Hebrew, it's called Magav, is one of the most dangerous units because they get blown up all the time by kids, by women, by guys dressed as old men. And when they go to say hello, kaboom, the switch gets pushed and they kill 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, 10 people. So it took a lot of courage for that soldier to shake the hand of the little boy. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I imagine.
Moving back to your new favorite presidential candidate, there was widespread coverage about Kamala's first rally, which was in Atlanta. The story has come out that the reason why the arena in Atlanta was full is it was advertised as a free concert by this rapper lady named Megan Thee Stallion. And when Megan Thee Stallion finished her concert, before Kamala Harris came out to speak in her first public appearance since she had been elected the Democrat nominee, I don't know by who, nobody voted.
Selected.
I was making fun of the word elected.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of the crowd left, which wasn't shown on the news. But what is interesting to me is I want you to see who the Harris campaign picked to kick off the campaign, and especially pay attention to the words of the song that she was singing.
Now I know my ladies in the crowd love their body. Real hot girl. And if you want to keep loving your body, you know who to vote for. Beat live, you know Lil Ju. Hey. 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 Yeah. Body crazy, curvy, wavy. Yeah. Yeah. Body crazy, curvy, wavy. Look at how I body that. Ate it up and gave it back. Yeah, you look good, but they still wanna know. See me in that dress and he felt like he almost tasted that. Num 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 num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1. You know I'm the hottest, you ain't never caught it. I'm present when I'm. What we talking about over here, y'all? Hey, if you love your body, let me hear you make some noise. And if you wanna keep loving your body, ladies, let me hear you make some noise. Hey, body crazy, curvy, wavy. Yeah, yeah. Body crazy, curvy, wavy. Yeah, yeah.
I think you got the idea. The words are a little bit on edge, wouldn't you say?
That was the clean version too, the extreme clean version. Because other than that, she's filthy.
You mean it's worse than that?
Oh, she's filthy. I mean,
Wow.
she's extremely filthy.
Wow.
I mean, that's one of the most filthiest people that you can. And you know what? She was most of the time. Let me just put it this way: she was fully clothed that time too.
Oh, that's not normal either?
Nope. That she's fully clothed. Any other time, she's filthy. And of course, it's fitting, you know. The reason why she brought him up there because it's in Atlanta, and a lot of black people like her music and like the music. They did this to draw in black people, and I don't understand it because black people, it's like they don't have enough respect for themselves to realize that they're being duped, being drawn in by gimmicks and music, snake oil.
I was shocked. I can't imagine the thought process. If you're telling me, and I'm not familiar with her as an artist, that she's normally worse. I was looking at the words going, holy cow, this is the president of the United States' first public appearance campaign to convince America, I should be your president. I'm going to show you how I'm going to be ethically, morally, politically as your leader of 300 plus million Americans. And this is the best they could do.
Yeah. And of course, the reason why they brought in there, so to draw the crowd, like you mentioned, they did this saying there's a free concert. And of course, people are going to go to the free concert. But afterwards, they were leaving because there's a lot of black people that's not supporting Kamala Harris. And now you see Kamala Harris at these other events, and majority of the people showing up to these events for Kamala Harris, they're not black. They're white female liberals, white male liberals. I mean, that's who's showing up.
So they're not Megan the Stallion.
No, I mean, if you look at them now, of course, they do have some black people in there, but by and large, majority of the people showing up to a black candidate, in quotes here, it's not real. The only reason why they have the crowd because they're getting all of these white liberals to show up because there's millions and millions of white liberals in this country. I mean, it is what it is. I'm just being real, just calling it out for what it is. I mean, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it or downplay it. And she's drawing a lot of crowd now because she's paying these influencers to, convince people to go out and support Kamala Harris. Well, she's not paying them directly, but she's using dark money is being used. Most definitely.
Well, they promoted this as a free Megan the Stallion concert. And apparently she's a really big deal in the hip hop community. And those people came to see her and you watch the whole video. It's about an hour long after the other speakers are gone. And by the time Kamala Harris gets out there, a lot of empty seats.
Yeah.
So you're probably
they're not saying that now because, like I said, they're getting a whole bunch of white liberals to show up to her events and they're packing the house. I think they had one in Detroit just yesterday or yesterday.
But they're bringing in entertainers, as the main event.
Yeah, they're bringing in entertainers. Absolutely.
I came across this story, Will Johnson. It's still fallout from the assassination attempt weeks ago against President Trump. There's a college in Louisville, Kentucky, where a professor there made a post saying that the assassination on President Trump, well, let me tell you what happened to him first. He's out of a job. He got fired, and he said he got fired because the college is kowtowing to domestic terrorism. In other words, he named the school as a domestic terrorist. Now, it's a Catholic school, it's religious, and the professor's name is John James. And what he wrote on his social media is, if you're going to shoot, man, don't miss. And then he might have actually called in a bomb threat against his own school, according to reports. This is the school. I want to show it to you. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Bellarmine University. The professor, Mr. James, said that he took pride in being called a terrorist, because he felt that if you're going to assassinate somebody, you ought to be a success. And he was very disappointed that the school bowed to domestic terrorism by not letting him teach there anymore. If you were spending a fortune at a private school to send your kids to a place where the professor is upset that the assassination attempt on the 45th president of the United States was unsuccessful, you'd pull your kid pretty quick, wouldn't you, Will Johnson?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. Because now my child is in harm's way because of this mentality.
100%.
I mean, they already got enough to deal with. And then they're going to bring this in. Good for them for removing him. Good for them. It's kind of interesting because, they really, these schools, they're kind of slow on doing it, but they did this one pretty swift, apparently.
100%. I gotta bring up something elsewhere. And I've looked at it a few times. MSNBC said some wild stuff during the RNC. Here's the desk. My understanding is the desk wasn't even in the convention. They did it remotely and faked it. But they did some really wild stuff. They said that J.D. Vance dropped Easter eggs of white supremacy. I'm not sure what that means. That Joy Reid said President Biden getting COVID was just like Trump getting shot. Same thing. They both had to recover, and they're older people. Then she questioned whether or not Trump was actually shot.
But didn't question if Joe Biden actually had COVID.
For the fourth time. Michael Steele, who is now an MSNBC host, said it was a conspiracy theory whether Trump was actually hit by a bullet. Rachel Maddow said the convention was like Lord of the Rings, and we all know that that is racist. And that's because somebody had, Senator Vance had showed an interest in Lord of the Rings, and that's a right-wing conspiracy novel. Everybody knows that. I've never heard that before.
I've never heard that either.
Well, I got more. I'm not done. This gets weirder, dude.
What makes Lord of the Rings? What makes them that?
Because it's Aryan. And she said Narya, which, if you remember, is Aryan, but the N word is moved to the front, and it has something to do with the elves and the rings, but she doesn't quite understand it, but it's obviously racist.
Okay. Yeah, I don't understand it either.
Okay, but she doesn't understand it, but it is racist.
Okay, I didn't know
then,
that.
And then Nicole Wallace said that Biden had answered that bullseye question. You know, remember, there should be a bullseye on Trump, but he didn't understand the question. And on and on and on. I guess my question is, notwithstanding these goofballs at MSNBC, do people think it's the news at this point? Or is it all editorial opinion and everybody knows it?
I don't think people really recognize it because I believe they believe it is the news. The people who don't question anything that they're being told, they believe it's the news. Now, most people know that these are just talk hosts, right? Talk shows. That's, for the most part, that's how they are. They're not even reporting on the news any longer. They're telling everyone's opinion, what their opinion is about whatever it is, XYZ. And 9.59 times out of 10, they're lying to the American people because they want to push a certain narrative. I believe at the end of the year, these companies, MSDNC, CNN, ABC, CBS, the entire Alphabet Network Soup Group, I believe they all come together in a meeting that we're unaware of, and they have these ceremonies that they give people awards to who told the best lie, the most convincing. The whole set, like you just mentioned when it first started, was not even at the RNC. It was a total lie. Every bit of it was a total lie. They're pushing propaganda. I'm back to that word again, propaganda. Barry, we're seeing one of the biggest propaganda machines ever take place in American history. One of the biggest.
I'm thinking back to being a little boy when the news was ABC, NBC, and CBS, and you had Walter Cronkite and David Brinkley and Chris, what's his name, Jennings, I forgot his first name, on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
And those were people that read the news, and then they let you decide. They had 30 minutes to give you the headlines. Yep. No editorials, no telling you what to think. Just here's the news. And the newspapers, the LA Times, the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune, these were newspapers that told you the news, not what to think, not took side.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, it's so bad because these people have become radicalized, going to places like Berkeley, and there's actually some good people that have gone to Berkeley that did not become radicalized, but there's a lot of people that have been radicalized at Berkeley. And
I almost went there. I got taken into the class and I turned them down. Thank goodness.
Yeah, good for you. Well, actually, I know one person has actually become a really good friend that actually went to Berkeley and graduated from there and can't stand these liberals. I mean, he had a huge presence on YouTube, but because of what he was saying, he was just reporting the news. Actually, he was just reporting what was happening. They took him down. So there are people don't completely lose their minds, but it's not even just Berkeley. It's other Harvard, Stanford, et cetera, et cetera. And what's changed, Barry, is that these people that become radicalized, they've taken these positions like in the news media to push certain things. And, a lot of people say it's CIA operatives that's doing it, like Anderson Cooper, et cetera, et cetera. We've heard the stories before. And now it's so bad that they're wanting to retain this control, this power on what people think and what people see and the information that they receive, that these big companies, Barry, they're going to the tech companies now, which I think you and I have had the discussion before. CNN, ABC, all of them, they're going to, it's been reported that they've gone to YouTube and Facebook and say people like Barry Nussbaum with American Truth Project, he is relaying information that is factual and that information that we don't want people to know. And they've asked these tech companies to suppress and to hinder people from reporting on information that they don't want people to know. These multi-billion dollar companies are doing it. And you know the reason why they're doing it, Barry? Because they're losing viewership to people like you on social media. That's why.
Well, we do our best to tell the truth and bring the news, and we give our opinions. But at the same time, as you and I talked about before we went on the air today, Will, we also give the source. This is what we saw. This is where you can confirm. This is where you can make your own opinion, because that's the way it should be. We're not the view, right?
Yeah. But unless they give us the opinion, Barry, then we're not supposed to say the opinion. That's the problem here, because we don't go along with their insanity. Like, can I say it? A man becoming a woman. It's your opinion that they can't. It's just your opinion.
Oh boy. Well, going on to more insanity, I believe your producer sent me over this video, and it really shook me this morning when I took a look at it. I give you the credit for finding it. This is something that everybody should see. On October 7th, the biggest massacre of Jews in the history of the country of Israel took place, and it was the worst killing of Jews since the Holocaust in World War II. 10 months later, it seems that the youth of America don't even know what happened, and when they find out what happened, they don't care. Thanks to Will Johnson and Unite America First for the video.
Learning about the deadliest concert in history once they found out it took place in Israel. And I wanted to ask if you've heard about the Music Festival massacre.
No, I'm not. I have not heard about it.
No, I haven't. Tell me about it.
This massacre took place in a desert. About 3,000 young people came to celebrate life. This whole festival was about peace. And 364 people were murdered by terrorists, and 40 plus people was taken as hostages from this music festival.
That's so sad. I haven't heard of that.
Honestly, it's kind of up. Holy crap.
I think it was horrible. I feel bad that I didn't know about that. Where was it?
How would you feel about the fact that it took place in Israel?
I don't agree with that. I'm not surprised, obviously. Palestinian people have been seeking liberation for years. They've had to resort often to acts of violence to make their voices feel heard.
There are a lot of different other things on top of this, all sorts of violence occurring to Palestinian people that's ethnically cleansing them.
Their population has just grown in the past few years tremendously. How is that an ethnic cleansing?
I don't know enough to keep talking about this. Conversation needs to end here.
Actually, I'm from Israel. I've been in the military for 5 months, and I treated Palestinian people.
Don't want to participate in this interview anymore.
Before every attack, they make sure to evacuate the place.
It's not true, because there are many Palestinians killed.
And who provides these numbers?
I don't know. I don't want to talk about that. It's not fair because it's not our native language, so we just can't really...
It's not my native language as well, but I don't run away from conflicts. On October 7th, at the Nova Music Festival, 364 people were murdered. 40 plus was taken as hostages. These people just came to celebrate music, to celebrate life, and to celebrate peace. It could have been any one of us.
I've watched it 3 times. I can't believe that 364 people that when people find out the massacre was in Israel, now they
Yeah.
think, well, I don't want to talk about it, and it's totally understandable. The slaughter
Yeah.
of kids at a concert for peace.
Yeah.
It was the Nova Festival for peace.
Yeah. They were all against it. And then as soon as she gave them a little bit more detail, and went, oh, what? It was against Jewish people. Oh, well, then it might be justified, because, the Palestinian people, they have to resort to violence. Kind of makes me think about here in America, because we see similarities where I never forget it. You had Don Lemon saying when the BLM riots were happening that they have to go out and riot because they don't have a voice. They don't have any other option but to riot, basically giving a pass for them to be violent, which should never be the case. But yet, the society we live in, they justify it. And the very fact that these people, what, they're probably on TikTok, and of course, TikTok, they were hiding. I mean, they were hiding what took place in Israel, like it never even happened. Kind of like they're trying to hide the whole fact that they tried to assassinate President Trump, trying to say it never happened.
Unbelievable.
Really.
Unbelievable.
Then you see the guy said, well, I'm done talking about this. I don't know enough to comment on it. And well, you had a whole bunch to say just a second ago.
Yeah, and this isn't my native language, so the interview just ended. So sad.
It really is.
My family knows people that were there and died. And my family was at those funerals. So it's personal. Very personal. There's a crazy lady, this is not a shock to you, on The View. And in discussing the aftermath of the assassination, I want to get this especially comment from you as someone who believes in God. As we all know, President Trump, by some intervention, turned his head at the exact millisecond that the bullet was on its way, and it nicked his ear instead of blew his brains out.
Yep.
That's a fact. Video confirms it. The FBI's confirmed it. So does all the government officials that were there, the photographers, and so on. And he turned his head 5 minutes before he was supposed to look at the chart that had just been placed up on the teleprompter 5 minutes early because Trump had gone off script. Afterwards, Trump made a comment that he felt that God had intervened and saved his life. And he was speaking as a believer in God.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't understand is that instead of him dying, he lived by some kind of intervention. He doesn't know what it was. He gives it to the man upstairs. The reason I'm bringing this up is I keep seeing this circulating, which is the quote from Joy Behar saying Trump is being unchristian by saying God was watching him during the assassination attempt and saved his life.
That's unchristian?
You're reading it. That's a quote. What say you as a believer in God when you read something like this? Come on, you can say something.
So Trump is giving acknowledge to God that he is still alive, but it's unchristian to do so. Joy Behar she's a total nut job. It doesn't even make any sense.
Isn't the definition of a miracle that something beyond the power of ordinary man
Yes.
has occurred?
Yeah.
Meaning it's divine in some nature.
Yes.
You can't explain it.
Divine intervention. Absolutely.
Isn't that what is ascribed to God in the Bible and in fact in every religious text in the earth?
Well, I mean, even without looking at the text, we already know that divine intervention when it takes place. We just know. We just automatically, that's what President Trump is doing. He's just automatically giving credit to God. He said, because I mean, they tried to take him out, and he's thinking himself, it's only God the reason why I'm alive. I mean, he's giving credit. One reason why I believe Joy Behar is saying that it's unchristian because there's a movement right now to change what it is to be a Christian. They want
Explain that.
they want Christians to reject Israel, which true Christians, and I'm gonna say it again, true Christians will never reject Israel. Now, we're not talking about the liberals in Israel, right? Because there's liberals everywhere. I mean, come on, let's just keep it real. But we will not reject Israel as Christians. We are a Christian nation. We're not going to reject Israel. And that's the very reason why the United States of America has battleships, aircraft carriers right now off the coast of Israel. Because regardless of what Joe Biden says and what Kamala Harris, the U.S. military, the naval, Marines, they're there. The Air Force, they are there. And on top of that, them trying to change Christianity, they're trying to tell the world, or at least specifically here in the United States of America, that sodomy is what God wants you to do. It's not true. Completely opposite. They're trying to say, well, God never said anything in the Bible about it. Like it's nowhere in red. Well, God didn't say anything about bestiality either. Does he have to?
Apparently. So, in regards to Joy Behar, what would you say to her if you were having a conversation?
Ooh. About this topic? Because I have much more.
I know you got too much to say. So, because she said a lot
well,
on this exact topic.
On this exact topic about
that
President Trump not unchristian
to give God credit for America.
Give God credit. You're clueless. Who do you think I would ask her when President Trump gave credit to God, who do you think he was talking about? And she'll probably say, not the God of the Bible, being who she is. And then I would ask her, well, who do you think the God of the Bible is? Because everything that you support goes against the God of the Bible. So who again? And at the same time, President Trump, he was the only president that I am aware of. And I've been asking other people. I've never known for another president to have pastors and preachers to come pray over him in the Oval Office. They were laying hands on him, Barry, praying. I've never known anyone else to do that. So she's trying to say that it's unchristian because they want to change what it is to be Christian, just like they want to change what it is to be a Republican and what it is to be an American.
Well said. Well said. I've got a baseball story for you. A week and a half ago, the St. Louis Cardinals were on national television, and their designated hitter, Alec Burleson, hit a home run against Atlanta. And as he was rounding the bases, he did this to his ear, which apparently he's been doing most of the year because he used to be a DJ. His DJ name was, let me find it. I think it's something.
So it's a baseball player that became it's a DJ that became a baseball player. And I know what you're talking about because
his rapper name was Biscuit.
Biscuit.
And he used to cover his ear to listen to the tunes.
Yeah, because they would use single headphone.
Right.
I used to a little bit too. You get a single headphone and you put it on this ear, and this ear would hear everything else, and you would do the turntables, or today would be CDs, but you cover this one ear up with the headphones so you can hear the mix.
So apparently every time he does a home run all season, he's been doing this. Look, I'm a DJ that made it to the big leagues. Look at me. Well, notwithstanding the fact that he was called Biscuit in college when he was, that was his job. There's a crazy guy, and we've had him on before, pictures and stories about him, named Keith Olbermann.
Oh my goodness.
And he
actually looks civil here.
Yeah, well, that's because he's not talking. He said that Major League Baseball should ban this player for life.
Why?
should confiscate the St. Louis Cardinals franchise and blow up Busch Stadium. Are you hearing me?
For what? Because Biscuit?
Because Biscuit, now known as Alec Burleson, had hit a home run and covered his ear and made the joke about, look, I used to be a DJ, because he said that he's had it with the Trump Nazis and America has had enough of this SHIT. So as far as he's concerned.
So wait a minute. So who said the Trump Nazis? Biscuit?
No, Keith Olbermann.
Keith Olbermann. Yeah. Okay.
In other words, he says that Alec Burleson.
So what does Trump have to do with Biscuit?
Well,
did Trump bring the gravy?
No, because Keith Olbermann, who in his infinite wackiness thought that he was honoring Trump by covering his ear because Trump had been shot the week before. And so Olbermann just went crazy that the stadium should be blown up.
That is so liberal, like that is liberal logic 101.
and he ought to be banned for life from baseball.
Oh my goodness. I like the way you played that. You brought it in, you didn't even give me the full story. You brought it in with the ear, and he's a DJ. So I'm like, okay, there's nothing wrong here.
Well, it's because
liberal logic.
Because you're not insane.
I'm like, there's nothing. I'm trying to, when you're telling me this, I'm trying to figure out what is the problem here? Why is Keith Olbermann upset? And then you said, because at first, no, let me be honest with you too. When you first told me that after he hit a home run, he would do this, and be honest with you, I was thinking Trump with his ear. But I finished and allow you to tell me the story before I went on, and you said he was a DJ. And I'm saying, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because it probably became a habit too. And he was like, that's his signature thing. Okay, so nothing to see here. Move along. But Keith Olbermann, liberal logic, falls right into it. Oh my goodness, he's a Trump supporter. And you know what? Biscuit probably wasn't even a Trump supporter, but he's probably one now.
Well, they asked him what they said, why are you honoring Trump? And he said, what are you talking about? That's my Biscuit persona. I was a DJ. This is what I used to do. So Burleson didn't even understand why he was being attacked and threatened with banning from baseball, and the St. Louis Cardinals franchise would be canceled and they would blow up the stadium. And by the way, Keith Olbermann still has a pretty big audience.
Oh, of course.
Even though he's been fired from ESPN several times, he's been fired from MSNBC. Everywhere he's gone, he's been fired because they think he's crazy.
It's liberal lunacy. I mean, that's liberal logic right there. And he's probably sticking with it. I don't care that he was a DJ. He touched his ear. He touched his ear.
Yeah, and oh my, that's going to be a felony in the Keith Olbermann world.
Barry, TDS is a real thing.
Oh yeah, you're seeing, yeah.
Oh, it is a real thing.
Well, thank goodness the story came out that he was a DJ, because St. Louis would be really upset if they had to give the franchise back after over 100 years, let alone $1 billion stadium exploded.
Yeah. Actually, Keith Olbermann should have to pay a penalty for doing that. I mean, no, seriously, because he's defaming this dude. He's trying to crush his career over what?
Yeah.
Because he was a DJ. I mean, that could be career ending. Because when these liberals, these tyrants, when they target someone like that, they go out for blood. They want to crush a person's career, their livelihood, because he did something he didn't like. He touched his ear as a DJ. My goodness.
You got it. All right, we're going to wrap it up with this. More Kamala news. Maybe the next president of the United States.
Ugh.
Come on.
There's only one way that's going to happen, and we know.
She said the public should no longer use the term radical Islamic terrorism and should no longer use the word illegal alien, because Muslims have been the greatest victims of terror, and it's not fair to mention that. Now, this is as weird as it gets because I'm pretty sure there aren't Christians blowing up mosques with bomb vests. There aren't Jews pushing their kids towards Hamas soldiers saying, "Kill my son." Buddhists sure aren't doing it. Hindus aren't doing it. What group is doing it? Just for fact checking. Yeah, you and I both know.
Yeah.
So there are people within that religion that are radical, contrary to what Kamala says. And there are people that are illegal aliens because illegal alien is actually defined in the federal codes. An alien is someone who is not an American. That's defined. And an illegal alien means they've entered the country against the law, meaning they didn't follow the federal immigration protocols to enter the country. And that's the definition of an illegal alien. But according to Kamala, should she be president, she's going to ban those terms in the White House because she said words have meaning. I'm sure you didn't know that, but now you do. And she said, consistent with the spirit of Ramadan, she wants to change these definitions. Now, that speech she made a few years ago was right before ISIS carried out a suicide bombing in Baghdad that killed 300 people. 2 weeks later, a man drove a truck through a crowd in France, killing 80 people. And the perpetrator said that they're calling on target citizens of coalition nations. They're calling against the target citizens of coalition nations that fight against the Islamic State. So in other words, the perpetrators of these crimes are telling you we are radical Muslims, and they're bragging about it and explaining why they're murdering people en masse. But Kamala Harris disagrees and says those terms are bad. And as far as illegal aliens, we're going to have to change a whole lot of law that actually in the federal code, Will Johnson, defines what an illegal alien is.
Well, they don't even want, just like they don't want you to say Islamic terrorists, they don't even want you to say illegal aliens any longer. These are words. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the words that have meaning, which you probably didn't know. Words have meanings.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're gonna regulate what we can and say. Even Tim Walz even said it. Talking about hate speech. It's all about freedom of speech. They're telling you, Barry, we talked about this in the beginning. They're wanting to do away with the Constitution. That's their goal. And we haven't even really discussed it about this, Islamic terrorists and everything else. Have you seen what's been happening in the UK? I mean, my goodness.
That's going to be next week. I pulled a lot of video and it was just so much.
Yeah.
Only got an hour. That's
I mean, and you know what, to that point, Barry, there's so much happening. There's no way for us to squeeze it all into 1 hour or even 2 hours or even a 4-hour show. There's no way for us to squeeze it all in there. There's so much happening that we didn't even scratch the surface of what's happening today in our world.
It's true.
We didn't even talk about we did. I guess we did, didn't we? There was something else went along with the tampons in the restroom, but we'll leave it for next time.
Well, we got plenty because I'm sure at some point Governor Walz is going to give a press conference, and maybe eventually before
I think between him and Kamala, I think he'll do one before her. I mean, John Fetterman would do one. I mean, come on.
And he's talking a lot better than he used to. You got to give it to him.
He'll do one. Yeah.
Well, great show today, my friend. We will see you again next Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel, talking about more stuff that we didn't get to today. And we thank all of you for coming along with us. Bye for now, and we sure appreciate you coming along for the ride with us.